Hello and welcome back to Rolly's Wheels. Today we're going to be replacing the headlining in my Jaguar XJR 308, and if you take a little look to see what the headlining is like inside, it started to droop. So this actually is a case of taking all this down, removing these edging strips and the sensor, the cover for the sensor, the alarm sensor, the sun visors, and hopefully everything should go okay to replace it. I've bought a brand new one from a company on eBay who specialise in making sure that the colour matches, the material matches as well. So I've actually purchased that, and that's what I'm going to be putting in today. So just follow me through on my job as I go from stage to stage. So I've got a selection of tools for this particular job. We've got a Phillips screwdriver. I like the Phillips screwdriver with that magnetic end on it, so you can actually pull the screws out without dropping them or losing them. I've got a very fine head screwdriver. That's a straight screwdriver, not a Phillips. I've got a set of Torx keys, and I've got the ever faithful trim lifters, which they're a very good investment. You can get these off eBay. They vary in size and degree of curvature, so you can actually get them behind any studs, which I'm going to be doing to get the trims off the side of here. So hopefully I'll be able to lift it off without breaking any. So fingers crossed we don't break any of the studs, because they might be a bit brittle with the age of the car. So we're going to start off with removing the sun visors. So on this sun visor, on this side, you've just got a straight Phillips screwdriver, Phillips heads, and there are 3 of these. Okay, so that's away from there, and you just pull this away from the catch on that side. There's a cable here, just remember which way round this went. Obviously the one screwed the near to the windscreen, and very carefully pull this through so that you can see where the connection is. Don't pull too hard, but keep these screws very safe. They've wrapped some tape around to be able to protect the switch. So all you need to do really is to get to this part here, and then you just pull away the contact, and then that's away, that's off. That was quite easy to do. I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the passenger side. So to remove the other bracket that holds your sun visor in place, that clip, there is a Phillips screw inside this hole underneath, so it really just need to undo that, and it's quite simple. There we go, quite straightforward, just a simple Phillips screw head. So let's not lose that. So in order to remove the center console piece on the roof, if you undo the sunglasses case, and inside you'll see there is a black straight screw. I think a quarter of a turn should bring that down. Yep, which it does with a bit of luck. I have to get that after the screws dropped out, and then I understand just push this forward, it should then come out. There we are. Pull it a bit towards you. There we go, inside. So in here again we've got some cables which we just need to disconnect. That one there is quite an easy one. Just push that in with your finger, that should come out. And then there is this one here, which I think most probably it's going to come out of that one, and then again a push button that then lifts out of there. That then frees the whole assembly. But that's somewhere safe as well. Right, so in order to get the roof lining out and put the new one in, we've got to remove these trims, as I mentioned earlier. This is the A part, A pillar section, and this is the B section which runs down the back. You don't necessarily have to take all of this off, but as long as you just sort of ply it back far enough so you can slide the roof lining in, I think that will probably do it. But in order to get this bracket off, to be able to take the trim off, there are screws behind these plastic covers, and take the plastic covers off, you'll find you can get a hold of it with your fingers. You don't necessarily have to use a tool. You might damage the edge of the plastic trim, but if you pinch tight enough, you can actually pull that out. That actually does come off, and behind it we've got a Torx key. So again, I can just pinch hard enough, that comes off again, so that's quite easy. So I'm going to get my Torx key to be able to take that off. So behind the plastic caps you can see there are Torx screws. This is a T30, so a T30 fits perfectly. Again, we don't lose the screw and the brackets that go behind them. Just carefully. Same thing applies on the other side of on the passenger side as well, so that's just a repetition of what I'm doing here. I'm going to just slide it back in so don't lose the screw head once I've brought it away from the, so I know how they go back, like that. And then the same with this one. Oops, he's turning away. Seems to have screwed on quite firmly. There we go. Coming off now. Okay. So the next stage is to take these A and B pillar covers off, and this is where you've got to be very, very careful in case the studs snap behind. So just very carefully running your finger along it. That's good. Feeling for them as you go. That's the first one off. the passenger side. So to make it a bit easier, more accessible to be able to take a grasp on pulling this off, I've just reclined this passenger seat down. It'll have to be reclined down anyway with the driving seat, both when I come to insert or to take this out and bring in a new one. So I'm not going to sleep, I'm just trying to give this a good pull very, very carefully. So if we just carefully, where that is. I think that's where that one is. But I think I might be okay to slide the new one in over this without pulling this off, to be honest. I think I'm going to leave it like that just to give it a go. Okay, so once again, just putting fingers behind it carefully to see if you can feel where the stud is, and if you can pull around the area of the stud so that you don't pull the plastic and probably snap it. You just feel your way along as you go along to the next one and just slowly pull it. And again, I can feel getting closer to this one, pull that one out a bit. I have to go down the side here. This one's a little bit more difficult down the front pillars, but they do eventually come away. Make sure you don't lose any studs while you're taking the part off. And again, I think just to pull these far enough away, I think I can slide the back new lining in there. So I'm now going to attempt to take this off. This seems to have stuck pretty well to the car. Now we should be able to get everything down. It's all stuck in here. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to lower the back of this seat, but I think before I do that, there are two more lugs on the very, very back for the sunblind catch. So I've just got to take those two out before I remove the rest of the lining. And the reason why I've got a very fine ended flat screwdriver is because they have little caps which hide the screws. So we're going to do that next. That one's open. Okay, so that one's open and the screw's behind that. This is very, very tight. So I have to, there we go. Bit tight, but the screw is up inside there. So I'm going to use, looks like a Phillips screwdriver. I'll get a Phillips screwdriver now and take the bracket off. So before we go any further, we've now got the cables to unplug from the center console roof area, which go along to the alarm sensors across here. So you can see here, you see the cable. So it's actually, and it actually plugs in, not plugs in, it's actually connected to the sensor here. So this cable goes all the way around, and it goes to a black socket up here. So I've got to just unplug that, and then all the cables then are free to be able to lower this whole thing down. I'm going to have to split it to get it out, and then the other one goes in myself. Easier said than done. There we go. The roof is hot. Okay, now the next big job is getting that out. Now because the old one, it's sacrificial, it doesn't matter if it breaks, so that's what I think I'll have to do. But remembering, of course, where obviously these are going to have to be removed and put onto the new one, and the cabling put back, so I'm trying to remember, obviously I'm going to take this out, not to break it in the wrong place, of course. Hey, presto, it's out. Okay. So, I've made a temporary platform. We've got the old lining out here. I've got the new one here. Matches perfectly. I've got oatmeal as a colour, but you can see this is really wonderful. So put a base down, the cardboard down, some plastic so don't get the material dirty. And if you have a look at this, they've actually, the manufacturers have got a glass fibre backing, and they've actually bonded the material onto it. But all the holes are already pretty cut out. What I've got to do is just to break a hole in the material, which will then obviously be it'll just fold in behind there once I've done that. Show a sharp blade. And a short one really. Yeah. You go around all those holes and just make sure that there is enough of a hole. It will actually fold in and around the bracket when you fit it, so it's not imperative that you get it perfect all the way around. The same with this as well. So, just a word of warning, when you come to remove the alarm sensors off the underside here, they have black plastic covers, and on the underneath you've got the sensor. So I had to use, again, a lifter and carefully prise it away from the actual old liner. But it was very well stuck. So I ended up by just breaking it apart on the sides to be able to separate it. And the sensor has two studs and they go through the hole, and what you see is you can see the studs popping through. So my advice is, as you're leaving it, get a hammer and just tap those back through, because if you don't, they're liable to snap. And one of mine, because I didn't do that on one of these, it's just snapped on the very end, but it'll still be usable, it's not a problem. But just a word of advice on that side of things. And obviously you can see where the lining was very well stuck to the back of it. Just make sure you don't lose those, whatever happens, before going onto the new one. But anyway, that's just a word of advice. So we've got the little loom for the sensors for the roof. So what I've done is, this one is that other side, and I've popped the cable through the black plastic cover, making sure we push the studs through, and the actual sensor goes in underneath, and then you literally sandwich it. So once you've done that, you push hard and tap around here with a hammer to make sure you get the studs back through. And when you've done that, you can secure it again with some nice sticky tape. I'm sure it's not going to go anywhere anyway. That looks a lot tidier. in here, in order to be able to get the cable undone from the actual sensor itself, there is a little toggle in here which you've just got to push, and then the actual cable will come out. Hopefully. So here we are, now that I've completed the replacement of the headlining. I think it's a really nice finish. I think it looks so much better now, and the car is back to its normal top quality. It wasn't a bad job to replace it, and I've learned a lot doing it as well. But yeah, so if anybody wants any tips on how it goes together and how you take the old one out and put the new one in, then please don't hesitate to contact me, and do make sure that you follow us again and subscribe. Thank you very much.